Okay, so as part of our mission to help merchants that want to go international, we are, as you know, launching our ebook on internationalization. In this particular webinar, we are covering how a merchant can gauge if they're ready, what do they need to think about, and where geographically should they even start. So today we are lucky to be joined by Alex, who's Channel Account Manager with Brightpearl. Brightpearl is an omni-channel and retail management system, pulling finance, warehouse management, inventory management, demand planning metrics into one place. We want to point out that Brightpearl supports both wholesalers and retailers, which has been particularly beneficial for us over the past year because we at Swanky have seen an increasing number of merchants moving towards a hybrid business model. So Alex, in the first part of the ebook, we talked about making the most of your domestic market first. Can you tell us a bit more about why that is particularly important?
Yeah, sure. Well, first, hello, and thanks for having us. Yeah, there's obviously a lot of effort and resource that goes into kind of breaking out into other markets. So I guess before kind of jumping into that opportunity, if you can make sure that you've really explored that domestic market first, made the most of all the opportunities that are kind of closer to home, it can be quite a good way to expand without adding too much additional cost and effort. And I guess like a second point to that is that ensuring that you've captured the whole domestic market, or at least kind of explored that opportunity, it gives you the opportunity to prove the business model, and then it allows you to kind of streamline any areas for efficiency, remove any bottlenecks that you might have, and remove those bottlenecks that can be quite troublesome as you add more volume as well. So yeah, I think it's kind of a good idea just to really make sure that you've streamlined and proven the business model domestically before thinking about any overseas operations.
And that's a really good point as well, right? Because the more that you can drive volume at home, the more data that you have, and the more data that you have, I guess the greater the risk mitigation of expansion.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah,
for sure. I think it's really important to do that. So
it's cash flow as well, you know, cash flow to fund the international pursuit.
Definitely, yeah. I think it really allows you to, as you say, kind of prove that business model, get the data to kind of make informed decisions, but then also kind of fund the international expansion as well. Yeah, really good point.
And I guess also drive volume through, you know, key partners, where you might get a nice kickback for,
yeah, of course,
service overseas. Okay, so moving on to kind of the second point here, how can merchants take forward things that they learn in their domestic market to their plans for internationalization?
Yeah, it's a really good question actually, and a really important point. There's obviously some major differences between any domestic market and wherever a business chooses to expand. So some of the principles that a merchant adopts at home will be applicable overseas. I think, like, just from a technology point of view, thinking about some of the core parts of their tech stack, and in particular choosing parts that are transferable to new markets can save time, but also bring about cost savings across the whole business as well. The other key thing to remember really is that some of the principles are totally universal. So the importance of customer experience and meeting customer expectations, that's not unique to a domestic market. So ensuring that you keep that top of mind when expanding to a new market and staying focused on providing that best customer experience can give a merchant a really good chance of success. And I guess it's about keeping that customer and that end consumer front of mind with any kind of expansion, and making sure that you kind of meet the expectations that they have.
That's actually a really good point, because in e-commerce, as a consumer, we're so used to just seeing the front end, but there is an entire back-end logistical operation that goes into the end experience. So I think as well with Brightpearl, it's really cementing that full end-to-end customer experience. It's not just about the glossy front end. It's not just about making sure it's easy navigation on the website. It's about making sure that the entire operation until the customer gets the product in their hands is flawless.
Exactly. Yeah, I think a lot of merchants in general forget that kind of back office piece is actually part of the customer experience, and actually a lot of times where things start to go wrong as well. So it's definitely really important, and even more so as you start to expand as well.
And I think it's worth pointing out as well that as much as customer experience is a universal concept, it's also the biggest place where you get the nuances that you have to address. So different cultures like to buy things in different ways, and yes, on the front end, but also logistically. Some places prefer click and collect. They prefer to go to a destination and pick it up. It's a bit trickier in current circumstances, but and some places are completely, I'm going to say, conditioned in the nicest way of the world to literally just have it arrive on their doorstep. It's very, very different nuances across different cultures and locations that need to be built in an entire international operation.
Exactly. Yeah, I think it's a really good point. It's keeping consumer experience kind of top of mind, but adapting to those nuances and making sure that you have the ability to be flexible and meet customers wherever they want to be as well.
Yeah, and I think we've kind of jumped ahead a bit, but it was worth kind of deep diving into this a bit more with logistics planning is obviously a big part, as we've just covered, of internationalization. But how important do you think it is to consider this aspect of your operation up front? So maybe even ahead of how it might look on the front end.
Definitely, I think it's absolutely huge. Logistics and distribution infrastructure, it totally varies around the world. So it's actually crucial to do research in order to understand what the processes are like and how they vary between different countries. And if you want to get your goods in front of consumers with the experience that they expect, and we just talked about how important that is, you will need to kind of make sure that aligns with your business and the different varying processes before ahead of time, really. And any kind of poor alignment between what you offer and those different processes can lead to delays and supply chain disruption, and then ultimately revenue losses, which can severely affect a merchant who's moving internationally as well. So I think just identifying whether the business can support the change in logistics and distribution already from an operations perspective, but also regarding the costs involved as well is really, really important.
Yeah, I think actually fulfillment, as you just touched upon, is huge, because at the end of the day, we forget that once a customer's clicked the big red or green button on a website, whichever is optimal for conversion, it's a deal. It's a transactional deal. So they've paid the money. We need to deliver the goods.
Exactly.
It's just one half of the bargain. Yeah. Okay.
I agree. There's a lot of emotion involved when it goes wrong as well. And actually, I think it's something like 89% of customers stop doing business with a brand after a bad experience. And so if you get it wrong, then that's it. You've pretty much guaranteed that a customer's not going to come back and buy from you again. So, and
that's expensive, right? That then hits your marketing costs, and it puts a ceiling on your growth, because there's only so many people in the world. Interesting. Okay, so moving on, what are the top things that a merchant should consider when thinking about their inventory management?
I think probably accurate reporting and visibility on inventory is extremely important. So especially for merchants who are looking to expand their business, thinking about whether you have accurate data on inventory that's available and whether you can see which countries have growth opportunities for the business is obviously really important for kind of planning as well. An intelligent back office system combined with a really great reporting tool will enable you to effectively plan product strategies and forecast demand, and ultimately help you to make an informed business decision as well. So it doesn't just help you to kind of manage what stock you've got today and what you're actually able to sell, but also to be able to kind of preempt any business decisions and which markets are going to perform best and what products you need in those markets as well. So I think those are probably top things to consider. Really, is that kind of inventory figures, but also the kind of planning and forecasting side of it as well.
That's also really crucial. I mean, if you're operating across retail and wholesale, to have that one single view of how many units do I have at my disposal. And also, you know, if you've got a retail network and you're drop shipping direct on their behalf, you need to understand like what we need like a live feed across every channel so that you don't oversell. Because again, that's the fastest way to lose customers, is to overpromise.
Exactly. It all ties back into that customer experience and making sure that you live up to those expectations. And ultimately, if you're selling stock that you don't have, then it's probably one of the most disappointing things that can happen.
Right, so if we move on to the next question, which I think is our last, actually. That was rapid. Whistle stop tour of internationalization with Brightpearl.
Yeah, exactly.
Why is a cloud-based back-end system so important for internationalization?
I think just thinking about it from a more general perspective, just getting the tech stack right before thinking about expanding is crucial. So, and that's probably especially true when it comes to the back office. But there's a lot of things to consider, from shipping and fulfillment logistics that we talked about, but also like tax laws and all of that and more. So keeping track of everything manually, that sets up for a lot of human error, leads to lots of failure in a new market. And ultimately leads to that kind of negative customer experience that we've been talking about throughout this whole kind of session. So making sure that you have an intelligent and scalable back office system can offer more accurate data reporting for that demand and planning forecasting that we were talking about, but also automate essential workflows and have seamless integrations with other key solutions in the organization as well. So really kind of allows you to set up for scale and expand, with some solid foundations. And I guess just generally having a system which is natively cloud-based clearly brings the benefit of being able to access these systems anywhere, which for a merchant who's expanding abroad means that they can be flexible about locations and all of that kind of thing as well. So there's a lot of benefit to having something that's cloud-based in the back end. And I guess the key points really are the flexibility, but also the kind of scalability of a solution like that.
And it's agile. You can just turn things on and off, and that you don't have to kind of contact every single individual office or person or all centralized. But then also, certainly in the shift that we've had towards remote working, it makes it so much easier to get your team on board with the system, used to the process, and just keep everything in that single place, single location.
I think it's you make a really good point about like remote working. I think we've all kind of seen the benefit of a cloud-based system at some point. So, and the onboarding point is a really good one as well. Having new staff come on and being able to kind of train them up from anywhere is absolutely crucial at the moment. So,
and it means you can maintain that. If you're in the blessed position where you are experiencing rapid growth, you can keep up. Like your system can keep up.
Exactly. Yeah, no, it's a really good point.
Yeah. Right. So we've covered some absolutely great points there. It was short but sweet, and soups on for what's to come in our more detailed ebook, which we've got plenty more support and advice for merchants. Just download our free ebook and find lots more things to think about when looking to go international. But in the meantime, big thank you to you, Alex, at Brightpearl, for joining us on this particular episode.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Thanks, Susanna.
Thank you.